Alright, your boy Midoriya from Heaven, with another video and hopefully a slightly looking better webcam. Um, 13 Reasons Why, not the shitty TV show with Hannah Baker, but a little video. Yeah, just start from there. This isn't a reason why about anything, but I think personally that the sub does a lot for me, voice wise. Because when you go from the sub, I'll start with the dub, but when you go from sub to dubbed, some of the vocal performances are like twice as good in this particular anime. I don't think that's the same for every anime. I'm not some gatekeeper of sub versus dubbed, but some of the voices make more sense in the sub for the characters they're portraying. Anyway, number one, it was cool to see why Rocklock was a dickhead. I felt like they were just trying to make him like an ass because he was like black. And I know people say, "Oh, it's really racist." Yo, come on, man. There's nobody other than like Bakugo who's been like just an annoying person 24/7, always on other people's cases in this entire anime. This is still the same point, but if it's like a sub point, why is the baby black? The baby is. I know they don't have like. So if you like aren't exactly accustomed to seeing how Asian people, natural born Asian people, kind of react to the culture shock of being around like black people, because it's usually not like a racial way. It's just they don't really have that much experience around black people, so they kind of usually handle those things, representation, as I think people call it, a little bit differently than you would expect. Um, like I don't think the concept of mixed, like light skinned babies kind of exist in their brains, or it exists in their culture, I should say. And I felt that baby should have been light skinned. And I even the point of saying like the baby looks just like you, which it did. You can do that with a lighter skin tone, which would be anatomically correct. But I mean, it is what it is. It's not really that big a point. I'm just glad they gave Rocklock a reason, some background for why he's been such an awful person. Mirio is a goat. Um, I think that Mirio's performance in the I believe it's the 12th episode, second to last one, probably is the best hero performance I've seen in this series since All Might against All for One, and I guess because we kind of built up this figure of All Might over a couple of seasons at that point. I would say just in a vacuum, because Lemillion was like still like kind of like a goofy, but like he was serious when it's time to get serious type of dude. And they still like incrementally gave him some exposition like why this dude is so cool and likable and all that. But you just kind of get like this torn of like this dude's a badass, and that fight against, you can't really call it a fight. That slideshow against Chisaki, and yeah, they just let it all flow. And I think that was one of the better performances by any character in the entire series to this point. And that was like the final scene of him like smiling, like flashing back to kind of give him the reason for why he did all this. I mean, it was just amazing. Mirio is an incredible hero. That punch scene. Okay, so the punch scene where Midoriya steps in and like just like smacks the dog mess out of Chisaki. I think he's about to kill Lemillion and take back Eri. Yeah, Eri. Um, it reminded me a lot of Naruto against, I want to say Naruto against Pain, where he comes out and does the same thing. I'm thinking Naruto versus Sasuke in my head. I think it's Naruto versus Pain, where he just comes in and like punches. I believe it was the animal path in the face, just like that. It kind of like the way it kind of twists in and then like kind of like absorbs the impact for a second, then boom, releases him. That's very reminiscent of Naruto scenes. So I put this dude absorbing the guy with, I call it Tsukuyomi, the fella that could confuse people with his voice, kind of make them do things differently. You could call it like perfect hypnosis or Tsukuyomi. Just a couple different anime references you could go with there. Tsukishima from Bleach. Um, I think that was cool. The way they did that was like the animation was cool in that scene. Oh yeah, the comparison I actually wanted to make was Xylopro Grants from Bleach, because it's similar in the way that like he's like, I need to complete my goal, and you're like a stepping stone to my goal. And even the people explaining how he's able to do it with no remorse kind of explain a similar way that Xylopro was thought of by his lackeys there. All right, so the scene where Sir got impaled, that was so shocking at the moment because like it looked like he was just weaving in and out, and then I guess like there was some point in his I wanted to use the epitaph reference. I'm just referencing the animes at this point. The epitaph from JoJo. There was some point while he was looking at his epitaph that I guess he got snuck by the spikes and he got impaled, right? And by the way, they kind of just laughed off basically being impaled in the gut like that. He probably should have dodged about the scene there, but he kind of just. The one problem, this is a side here. The one problem with My Hero Academia is that the stakes of death are like way lower than any other anime I've ever watched. And I mean, this one is a lot more lighthearted than just about any other shonen I've ever seen. But at the same time, the fact this dude like got impaled, Mirio got impaled and beaten several times without having to cork. By the way, I don't understand like the weight, the gravity of being impaled basically meant nothing. And like his epitaph wore down, and like he couldn't see a way they got out of there alive. I thought he was dead, and that was a pretty moving scene for me originally. Number 6, Super Saiyan Deku. He's on the Giorno shit for a second. He's like, fuck fate. You know, I gotta set my own way. You know, this is my path. I don't care about what's, the future looks like. Which isn't his first time, saying that, but it reminded me a lot of Giorno. And part 5 was a lot about fate and, preset destiny. And the moment where like he like shocked his gloves away because, he wasn't using his I don't think he's used his hands in a fight and like at least a season and a half, a couple of seasons, I believe. I don't think he's used his hands since season 2. And so like when you knew he was getting serious, when like he shocked his hands, I was like, I'm willing to just break everything for this fight. That was pretty cool, I thought. 7. I'm gonna say this verbatim the way I put it in here. The big tit chick from the big 3, dead ass like a shitty human during the late Dragon Ball Z. So what I meant by that was that her power was like basically ki blast, and she had like kind of like the Piccolo swirling beam attack against the big dude, and towards the end she had like an explosive wave, kind of charged up a little bit more, but she's like the Sakura. If like the big 3 were like Naruto, she's like a Sakura. Like you got speaking of all the eating quirks in this, they need to stop. The guy that could eat, he was obviously like Sasuke in this instance. Like he's just his powers were cool. He got a cool moment with it. Got beaten down early, but kind of broke out of that. Got his redeeming moment. Obviously, Naruto beat Mirio in this situation. But yeah, she was like just like I feel like she was like this is the third of the big 3. Like I feel like they kind of underpower women a lot in this series. I'm not trying to be a SJW tip, but like it's such a big step down from what the other 2 did. And then the final episode was called Infinite 100%. So they did like the Mobius strip, the Infinite, well not really the Mobius strip, just the Infinite logo on him. Deku essentially went Super Saiyan for that moment, and I loved it. I mean, I loved the title, like the design they did for it, the power. Super Saiyan obviously was kind of like a I won't say a ripoff, but kind of like a ripoff. But I mean, you got to display that he was like significantly stronger than he was normal full Howling, and the animation was incredible. I mean, this is some of the best, some of the best animation the series has ever seen. Which a lot of people I'm sure wanted that after like the previous fight, where it's basically a slideshow Mirio against Chisaki. And I mean, I found out later that that's how it was in the manga. There wasn't really a fight, but they could have did a little bit more justice than that. I felt like, yeah, the animation was incredible. All the big they did an incredible job of emphasizing the strength of 100% one for all, that you would obviously get out of All Might, but they were showing just how incredible it was when used by anybody else as well, and just how amazing transitions were from decomposition to recomposition for Chisaki. To me, the standards of fights in this series is that, and then it's the other one in the tournament. I believe it is Todoroki against Deku, That's one of my favorite animated scenes is when Todoroki finally realized he can use his fire and ice, and I think this is better than either of those. The steel, well, it's not really a steel, but this like the little small period of time where like the millions of like punches from Deku like stack up when he's falling down from the sky with the punch Chisuke knock him out is one of the best like scenes I've seen from anime in quite a while. It might be better than Levi against the Beast Titan. Honestly, not definitely them. Maybe. So number 9, we're going these pretty slow, but Aries' power is like amazing. It reminds me a lot of Orihime. I'm sure as she gets more comfortable with it, she could probably control how far things get reversed, or maybe even if things go forward. But it is essentially, the Sansen Keshun ability that Orihime had. I was thinking that if they got to a point they could reverse engineer her ability, they could like give people quirks. That'd be pretty cool. After that, I'd say the theme. I think that the music they used in the past 2 episodes, especially this last one, was incredible all the way through. But the one, Stars of an Angel or The Wings of an Angel, something like that, where you have like dogs crying in the background, that commercial, that's just like the music that we get when Eri drops and goes into Izuku's hands, and it's so touching. Like that's one of the most notable theme usages of music that I have seen. Right. Overhaul is way more menacing than subbed. So I talked about the sub earlier in this video. Overhaul's voice doesn't really get the justice it deserves. He reminds me a lot of Dobby, where like he's menacing, but like he's not actually like menacing because of the voice. I would say Dobby's actually even voiced better than Overhaul. Overhaul's voice doesn't match. And I remember when I first watched the dub this season. And I've watched a little bit of the manga before, read a little bit of the manga before this. The voice just wasn't good. I felt like it wasn't awful, it just wasn't good. And the voice they have for Overhaul in the subbed is way more accurate, I feel, to the character. Uravity telling Sir that he was a liar was pretty amazing. It's not really a big moment, but it kind of, I guess, chips away the shell that makes him think, like, man, my foresight is perfect, it's undefeated, it's never failed. And then obviously it's all crumbles down towards the end of the episode, but that's just a nice little scene, I guess. I really love to see. It seems like Aerie is going to be a very big part of this series, one way or the other, going forward. She has pretty much, I would say, one of the 3 or 4 strongest quirks in the entire series. Here's the problem with that is the quirk that that Overhaul uses. It kind of reminds me a lot of Sosuke Aizen and Perfect Hypnosis. Kyokusoi Getsu. Sosuke Aizen Kyokusoi Getsu. I feel like that it's like that part in the plot of the latter part of that arc in Bleach, in where like the author is kind of stuck where this essentially omnipotent attack had to get canceled for some reason somehow to actually allow the main protagonist to defeat him, because realistically there's no reason why Overhaul couldn't just touch Mirio and kill Mirio in that very instant. Like, there's many moments where he had the chance to touch Mirio and end him. And I know the speed was like not in his benefit, but he still could have touched him. And as I understand, he can still use his quirk even with the arms of other people, or other, people he absorbed and shit like that. So he could have also used it on Sir. And I felt he could have used, like, if he used his the construction ability of his quirk to just trap Midoriya in like a cube with him, he could pretty much just touch Midoriya and not kill Midoriya. So it's like Shigaraki's quirk, where like realistically the only thing that can stop him is like the reaction time, but Overhaul had reaction time to all 3 of those people. Now, not necessarily good reaction time. I don't think he really could have touched a healthy Lemillion, but towards the end of that one, Lemillion couldn't move as much, obviously. I'm not sure why he couldn't just kill Midoriya. And it's kind of like Kyokusoi Getsu, where he could just used at any point, pretty much rendered Ichigo useless. But anyway, and last one, I like what they did with Chisaki towards the end of it. They kind of gave a lot more character and foundation to make him a more beloved like character. Like it's kind of like with Thanos, where like you could just have Thanos be a villain on his own merit and his own cool moments, and he would have been fine, fantastic. But once you give him the kind of exposition that he had, and in this case, is Chisaki basically wanted to be like Apple or Disney, a monopoly, capitalism very much so fueling his initial desires in this plan. Once you kind of look at it like that, what is the last anime reference? He's basically Jobin Higashikata. Like this, his relationship with the leader of the Hisakai, the Chai Hisakai. I said it wrong. The Yakuza. It's almost the exact same way as with Jobin and Norisuke Higashikata, but the last anime reference, I promise. We got these references that all for once able to push One For All to the point where his, obviously his attack was diminished so severely, his powers were basically sapped out of him. We got all that, and we got the cool moments, of course. He looked cool, but like I think Chisaki is like a really, really cool villain. I don't know where he stacks up amongst other villains because I believe that Midoriya is like a tier A protagonist after this little battle right here. I don't know where our friend Chisaki stacks up on that, but he may be in that tier B type of tier C. It's hard to put him to other established series because like other established series have had years to work out their villains, and the ones that are finished have already progressed the story. Right? We don't know where Chisaki goes from here unless you read the manga. So I don't know if he might become even better or this might just be the end of him. So we'll just have to see from here. But yeah, that dude was good. He was a good villain. His lines delivered. His sub, the voice actor, was incredible. His power is I mean, the problem is that Shigaraki's is like, at least as of right now, Shigaraki's quote power is like a limited version of his. So we're going to see something cool happen to Shigaraki to raise the bar. But they've done a good job so far of keeping powers interesting in the series. So I hope they keep that going. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's long, but I had a lot of thoughts after this one.